Hello and welcome, everyone.
So I'm going to start with the admin applets, just in case we don't have somebody on, or we have somebody on the call that has never used the admin applets before. You trigger that by clicking the admin applets option here under the administration drop-down menu, and only administrators can see this. Usually the configuration manager is the one that's most used, and when you go through this process, you'll download an admin applet, it's called. And after that's downloaded, you upload this, or excuse me, you open this admin applet, and once that's open, if you don't have a problem with your version of your Java on your laptop or your desktop, you will get this prompt to run that Java applet. One of the main problems our customers see is trying to run this applets with a different version of Java because their laptop or desktop needs to run other apps that need a different version of Java. And when you open up the configuration manager, you get access to these various options in terms of application fields, and profiles and rules are the two that we'll be talking about today. What I am going to do, just to kind of entice you a little bit, to be honest, is to show you how we do this without using the admin applets, because we have a different add-on under what we call Admin Suite. That's a more browser-based experience and does not require you to have that Java requirement on your desktop or your laptop to run that Java applet. And it's a responsive web page that's built right into the user experience from WebCenter content perspective that allows me to work with the same tabs, plus a couple more that were in the drop-downs of that configuration manager, and manage my rules and my profiles. So let's jump into a couple examples here in terms of the rules and profiles to show you how things work. So building a rule is all about just kind of going through an ad and then giving a name, deciding if it's a global priority or whether it's a group, and then adding the fields to it. And you pick those fields from the various available fields that you have on your content server, ones that came out of the box when it was installed, and ones you might have added as a result of your own metadata configurations. So I'll show you one that's already kind of pre-built here. I have one called Contract Progress, and when I edit that field, and when I look at this particular configuration, it's not a global role and it does have a group, which I'll show what that looks like in a minute. I do have 2 fields on there, and I can add more fields and reorder them so that they show up a certain way on this list. But what shows up on the content server profile is when I look at a demo profile, for example, here, this configuration is a profile that has been set up with a couple of rules, some base fields out of the box, and then 2 rules, one that's broke, one that does not have a header, and one that does have a header. Compare that to this corrective action one, which just has certain basic fields, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute when I make some changes. And I'll be jumping over to the demo sample as well. That one does not have that contract progress rule on it. So what I can do when I work with profiles is I can find my demo profile that I have set up, and it's the demo sample one that I want to edit. And I edit this profile, and it will bring me to a place where I can add rules to it. And so within the profile, I can define the name of it, description, and what might trigger it. And if I trigger something, this is called an NBN demo trigger, then I can add some rules to it. Now, the only flow that's on there, the only, rule that's on this profile right now, outside of the out-of-the-box fields, is the ad hoc workflow, which is this rule you see down here. I'm going to add another one on, and I'll pick it from a list of rules. So after you've created your rules, you can select them from the add rule drop-down box and add them to my rule definition. And when I refresh that page and go back into the demo sample, I will have contract progress and contract due date, 2 fields that are defined on that rule. That same rule is being used in the demo profile in a similar configuration. What you can do to kind of pretty things up, and I highly recommend doing this in every installation we work with, is that when you are working with your rules, you want to make sure that you can provide a header for them. And that header allows you to do a number of different things, and one is to give you a little HTML banner that kind of breaks it up so you can collapse and hide that and default that if you wish as a result of the configuration. I'll refresh that, and it'll put this contract progress bar on top of it, which helps basically give me a visual cue that these are my contract progress fields and these are my workflow fields. I will see that on any profile that I have that rule assigned to. It's very handy in terms of orchestrating the important information you might want to see across the number of profiles you might use. And if you happen to need many fields on there to check your stuff in, and you might have 3 or 4 or 5 sections on there that you can show or hide in terms of working with that experience. Very handy to get the visuals. We get a lot of feedback on that. And there's other ways to kind of provide some additional configuration of how that looks as well. There's some lines when you are working with the different types of profiles that will put the bar down here. It's just a little separator line, different type of visual effect. So I'm going to go over and show you the content check-in page for corrective action. So this is one kind of scenario where it's not set up as a rule per se. Let me set the stage with you with the different rule I have here for corrective action. This rule is a very simple definition that only has the one field on it, the Doctype. The way this one particularly works is there's no fields added to it because it's leveraging a trigger to decide all the fields it wants to bring on there so that I can decide on my rule whether or not I want to show those values or not. When I edit the profile, it has the corrective action rule, but this value is only using all the values, and the script I'll go back to in a second has a trigger value in there that says it turns certain things off. So this exclude non-rule fields allows me to show or hide all the fields that are not part of the rule definition. So when I look at this thing again, it brings back all the fields because I just included everything in that rule. And in my rule definition, or my profile definition, I can decide whether or not to exclude or include non-rule fields. So it's a little bit of the opposite of putting all your effort into a number of rules and just putting one rule out there and having a value set on that so you can show or hide the information that's on there. The rule, when you look at it in terms of behind the scenes, there's only default values corrective action. So this trigger right here is basically setting that experience so I can use the profile definition of enabling or hiding those values. So hopefully that makes sense. I do want to show you one other type of experience from the behind the scenes that when you are working with, when you are wanting to put more logic behind your profiles, you can edit these standard work fields, and in the field definition itself, for example, like review date, this one is hidden and the review cycle is edited. When I open this up, you can put code in here that evaluates any field that's on the form and rule definition you have. This one is a hidden field, and it will automatically tag some values as monthly, quarterly, or yearly in order to do a periodic review type scenario. And you can put all kinds of code in here to provide all kinds of derived or evaluated values, so you don't have to ask the customer or the user to type those in or select them. So you can kind of data chain them, and it's based on how they select certain values. You can assign other values out of the default values that are available for that field, or derive some new values, and even assign security accounts. A nice little feature as well when you're working with rules and profiles is you can daisy chain them to kind of provide a different type of experience. And when you are working with these profiles, don't forget that you can put security evaluations in them so that when that user logs in, they only see the ones they're allowed to see based on that security. You can use that definition to create that account without even going through a security group, and use our advanced user security mapping tool to map that account to that user and then manage the access to those profiles very easily. So hopefully that gave you a quick view of how to work with the profiles and the rules and the flexibility you have across your system to give a better user experience.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for attending, and we will be back in touch soon. Thank you.